Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final conversation of the day. I'm Edward Graham, technology reporter for NextGov FCW, and I'm pleased to conclude today's workshop with Lily Zalecki, who is the Deputy CIO for the Information Enterprise at the Department of Defense. And Lily, thank you so much for being here with us today. So, Ms. Zalecki, if we could get started, I was just interested to know if you could speak a little bit to your mindset as the deputy CIO and kind of what your focus is when it comes to modernizing the Pentagon's legacy capabilities and upgrading the department to this cloud environment that you've been working so much on for the past several years now.
Thank you so much for having me, Edward. So first and foremost, I want to say that my focus is to deliver a secure and modern digital information technology environment and capabilities to support the warfighter and the mission. And we want to do this at global and speed and scale. So why I say that is leaping from a highly networked legacy environment to a data-driven environment is clearly sort of what you're asking and the challenge we have. And I always tell folks that I consider, my organization and a lot of really the DoD CIO initiatives to be sort of the glue that brings us from, sort of bringing the legacy forward into the future, making sure that, one, we don't break mission. So I always say, mission first, and that means really the people and the warfighter and the DoD workforce at large. And, for our nation, we don't want to break mission at the expense of modernization. So that's why I think the fact that we straddle a legacy environment with needing to modernize and bring current our capabilities to the pacing challenge and the pacing threat and the digital, warfighting environment is really a critical piece at this pivotal time. So we don't want to break mission, but also we want to deliver capabilities to the warfighter at the speed of operational relevance. And what I mean by that is if we're late to need, then it's pointless if we have the most shiniest capabilities for the warfighter. So these are the balancing acts that we must make. And ultimately, we want to make sure that, our mindset is in those terms. As such, really, this is a journey. I think a lot of times we put out a strategy or we say, we're going to modernize, and folks expect like, oh, you put out a strategy in 2020. Like, how come you're not done? No, this is with a massive organization like the Department of Defense, complexity of the requirements and the user base and really the heaviness of the mission that we have. This is really, folks have to get it in their minds. And really one of my personal mindset is this is a journey. We want to do this right and to really deliver capability and operational need relevance, as well as speed and cybersecurity. Ultimately requires really due diligence. It requires collaboration. It requires partnership, not just internal to DoD, but external with our commercial partners, with federal partners, academia. So it really requires wisdom to walk this journey. And really, these are the mindset that I have as I look at my portfolio, which includes cloud, software, defense business systems, user experience. The user experience really, ultimately, it's about the mission and the warfighter and making sure that we meet the mission at the speed of relevance.
Definitely, yeah, and that sounds like the right approach to have as well. Can you give us some examples of some of these new or developing DCIO and or information enterprise cloud-based initiatives that you've been working on? Maybe some examples of successful cases that you've seen so far while you've been in your role at DoD.
So, well, the first part is I've been here in DoD CIO for almost 15 years. So I initially started out in the radio frequency spectrum in the C3 deputy CIO. So that's really sort of my background. So I've seen us deliver C4 capabilities in many different ways. Ultimately, getting information from one end to, across the tactical, all the way to the tactical edge in different forms. Since I've been in this seat almost a year and a half now, really cloud and software have been really the biggest initiatives that we're driving. And when I say cloud, really cloud adoption has been in the forefront. And I think at first we thought let's get everybody to the cloud. And really it became about moving to the cloud versus really why are we moving to the cloud? And really that is the biggest thing that from a cloud adoption standpoint, putting the environment into place so that our joint warfighting cloud capability is really one of our biggest accomplishments in this year since I've sat in this seat, to bring this unique, one-of-a-kind, multi-cloud capability at all classification levels to enable the warfighter to get the mission capabilities that we need. The cloud is an enabler, so it's not a proxy for modernization. It's really our sort of easier path to make sure that we are able to deliver the software driven capabilities that we need at the speed of relevance, like I said. So that is really the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that we've done this year. As you know, we've also released our software modernization implementation plan, which really now is catapulting our ability to sort of solidify and continue to evolve modern software practices. Really, that's what cloud enables us to do. To have the analytical capabilities that we weren't able to do, at the speed that we really need them. So there's quite a bit of work going on in that realm. And really the other one is related to cloud is expanding our piloting and really pushing the ability to get the warfighter cloud, really a global fabric, cloud compute fabric, to enable them to not have to traverse to, CONUS or continental United States nodes to get information to traverse, which really introduces latency and their ability to really do mission at the speed of relevance, as we always say. So there's quite a bit of initiatives going on in my portfolio right now as it relates to cloud, enabling tactical edge, OCONUS cloud, DevSecOps, baking security into the software development and delivery operations process, et cetera.
Great. Well, I know one of the biggest things now when it comes to cloud capabilities in DoD is the Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability Contract. I know DoD is kind of in the middle of, working with the vendors, that the contracts have been awarded and kind of moving forward. Could you just give us kind of a rundown of when it comes to the next steps of DoD's implementation of this contract? And, we've all heard about, the capabilities that JWCC will provide the Pentagon moving forward. But can you kind of let us know, from your perspective, what makes JWCC so transformative for DoD? And, is there some kind of intent moving forward to kind of expand this internationally, perhaps under DoD authority? And if that is the case, can you provide us maybe some operational examples of that?
Yes. So JWCC, like I said, it's really the first time we've constructed a cloud contract vehicle in a way that covers so many bases. It's a multi-cloud, so it brings in 4 of the top hyperscale cloud service providers. So our ability to really leverage the commercial cloud capabilities on par with the commercial offerings is really one of the number one advantages of having JWCC. In addition, we're not just talking headquarters or CONUS to sort of, you alluded to the international, earlier I mentioned really all the way to the tactical edge. So yes, the tactical edge could still be U.S. soil, whether it is here in CONUS or OCONUS International. But I think part of the challenge there, as I said earlier, is not having the commercial access to the nodes, the compute nodes is a challenge. So one of the things that we're actually really aggressively pushing is to do regional node mesh, which we call Joint Operational Edge Cloud, which is really to expand our OCONUS and tactical edge globally. So regardless of where the warfighter is and our DoD workforce is, our ability to get that cloud capability, compute, and really honestly, storage and everything wrapped up in one, and the ability to do everything they need to do at speed without having to traverse back to, even across the ocean to process and compute information. That is really probably our biggest and number one priority when it comes to cloud migration and adoption with JWCC. So that's really what it brings. And one of the things, you are really referring to how are we implementing. So we have quite a bit of task orders in the pipeline at different stages. So that is very encouraging. In addition, we're adding to the catalog various capabilities like infrastructure as code. So now laying out a cloud infrastructure is, as easy as pushing a button, where before it may have taken us months to construct such a capability. And the other piece is honestly to ensure that we've gone through such great lengths to get JWCC to bear. So we want our entire department to be able to leverage this vehicle to the greatest extent possible. And this is probably the first time that we've said this, and I will, you will hear it on this program is. The Honorable John Sherman, DoD CIO, just signed the JWCC guidance memo, which basically sort of lays out the conditions on how we're going to enable the entire department to use the contract to the greatest extent possible. In addition, as you know, over the years, we've really accumulated various cloud capabilities as we awaited a multi-cloud environment and capabilities. So now we really are in a place where we need to make sure that we look at our entire cloud landscape, rationalize our cloud landscape, enable the military departments to make sure that they continue to use their platforms to optimize cloud. However, we want to make sure that JWCC is the prime and optimal contract that we've put in place. So the guidance is going to enable that and enable the rationalization. as well. And the other piece is really governance. So when I say governance, it's not like the gavel and we're sitting at the head of the table. No, it really means that we have the mechanism to make not just the users and the components accountable, but us as DoD CIO and DISA as the our service arm and the program office for JWCC, all of us across the board from an acquisition standpoint, from a technical standpoint, from processes standpoint, accountable. So this guidance memo actually sort of kickstarts that governance council, which will also enable us to do other things in my portfolio that, from a cloud application rationalization, various things, network modernization, various portfolio governance and collaboration and partnership across the board in the department. So it's a big deal for us that it's taken quite a bit of coordination to get here, to put out JWCC, now the guidance. So we're well on our way to really implement what we set out to do. We don't want to just talk and put out strategies. We really want to be doers.
Definitely, yeah, and like you said too, the signing the guidance memo was definitely a big step forward as well. So that's a very big milestone in this this project moving forward. So I was really interested to hear, you did discuss a lot of the capabilities that this type of environment would provide moving forward, at speed, kind of internationally. And I was curious to know if we could just dig in a little bit on one component of these capabilities when it comes to information sharing. How will, the JWCC cloud environment kind of change DoD's approach to information sharing? And how is DoD kind of working to build some of the support structure to assist with that as well? Because I know you did talk about it, but I thought it might be interesting to kind of just delve into one component of this that kind of touches upon, the international, the at speed, and all the other factors that you were just alluding to and discussing.
Yeah, and I think I'll go right back to our joint operational edge cloud pilot initiative that we have going, which we really hope to expand, because really ultimately we're all here to support the combatant commands, the folks on the front line. And really that is what, JWCC, one of the most important critical part of that cloud vehicle was to enable the tactical edge OCONUS cloud. So really how we're approaching that is really in a hybrid fashion where we want to leverage the commercial capabilities as much as possible to bring to the warfighter and to the combatant commands, to bring cloud closer to them, the ability to compute, to do compute and all the other cloud capabilities closer to them, in addition to the ability for them to do, if they need to, private cloud, which DISA Stratus can offer. So a combination of that, in addition to having the multiple CSPs offerings and based on applications that the combatant commands tell us, or requirements that the combatant commands put on the table, having that regional node and building a mesh of these joint operational edge cloud capabilities to deliver that end-to-end global cloud compute fabric is really, we are aggressively pursuing that because it's honestly the need right now for the combatant command. They need to communicate with their partners, international partners, as well as really across some of the regions, as you know, this requirement, like Indo-PACOM, this requirement is really an imperative right now. So we're really focused on that, delivering cloud to the tactical edge. And really this requires extensive coordination, planning across the department, We need to make sure that the combatant commands get the support they need to be able to do their mission. Like I said, mission first, people first. So this is really what we're doing when it comes to JWCC, what it enables us to do very quickly, as opposed to previously we couldn't do previously.
Definitely. And, I know, this is still an evolving process and it's continuing to move forward. Kind of circling back to the news you mentioned before, the CIO Sherman signing the guidance memo, and kind of, I guess you said, kickstarting the governance council and moving forward, and kind of putting this into super drive or over, whatever you want to call it. Can you kind of or circle back a bit to, the department's implementation process for JWCC moving forward, in terms of, kind of the time frame you have in mind, and perhaps the next steps as well? I know you did discuss this a little bit before, but I'm just curious to know in terms of how you see, the next steps and, the steps after that proceeding. And, it sounds like, with the guidance memo, like you said, that this is kind of more fleshed out moving forward. So it sounds like DoD pretty much is, crossing the T's and dotting the I's at this point in terms of getting all the, process moving forward kind of aligned to, fully roll out and kind of set up type of environment that, the department needs to kind of work in this type of all domain, across the world environment.
Yeah. And that's really, you hit it right on the head. The jointness of, enabling JADC2, we call it, the joint operational edge, that's what it's going to enable. For example, from a really the next steps standpoint, like I said, there's a lot of task orders in the pipeline already, and we've awarded a few, including, DISA always, is first because they want to make sure that what we're offering is palatable for them, just like anybody else. So I really appreciate DISA has hopped on, JWCC contract already, but others are signing up, and that's really, it's encouraging at this early stage. We've put now the guidance in place, but I really, the thing I say is we must continue to be doers. Like, we can't put guidance and strategies out, and then, or have even governance could turn out to be a lot of times just ceremonial. And that is really not our intent. Really, we need to drive our ability to use cloud to the very extent possible. We're bringing cloud into the picture because we want to deliver capability at speed. We're in a software-driven world. There's no two ways about it. Our adversaries and pacing threat are exploiting this digital realm, and we must keep pace. And really, honestly, we must outpace. So really, to your earlier sort of terms that you used, overdrive, really, we need to be on overdrive and then some. And that's really where we're driving with cloud, and why I say probably in the near term, as we continue to push forward with our software modernization implementation, really enabling the tactical edge OCONUS cloud, but also really, it's not just the operational piece. Our business processes need need enhancement. Our defense business systems, you've heard us talk about that, for example, I'm sure in various ways. We have a talk about legacy. We have an extensive legacy of defense business systems which support our operations. And without breaking mission, we must continue to chip away at that. And cloud is really part of the answer. And JWCC now offers us a really prime opportunity to start getting after that as well. You know, so I think there's a lot in front of us, not just from moving to the cloud perspective, but also now getting after technical debt, enabling new capabilities, speeding processes, and really from a process standpoint, our defense business systems we need to be able to modernize those as well, and cloud is going to help us do as much as we can, hopefully, to catapult that.
Definitely, yeah. And I did want to ask too, because you brought up JADC2, and it seems like JWCC is kind of a huge component of this. I guess, when it comes to, kind of fighting in a 21st century modern environment like we are today, it seems like having these type of modernized, top quality cloud environment services that you can use are really critical, like you said, when it comes to, meeting adversaries, on their soil, or, preparing for potential, conflicts down the road. Just very quickly, because I kind of thought of this when you were talking about JADC2, when it comes to cloud, as kind of, I would say, the, one of the big pillars of JADC2, can you just describe a bit, moving forward, how the, cloud component is kind of going to boost DoD's overall JADC2 mission, and kind of how it's going to kind of cohesively bring all of this together? Because it seems like, this is probably one of the major components of it, and just interested to know moving forward how everything is kind of going to align and kind of meet some of the conditions that you had laid out, in terms of kind of fighting in a global modern battlefield and type of environment that we're in today.
That's a really, really good question. So JADC2, I know it sounds like a cliche, but really these are things: mission partner environment, collaboration capabilities, enabling interoperability, the ability to do software, at speed, baking in that cybersecurity. All of these things are really the pieces that sort of glues the joint operation that enables JADC2 ultimately. So we do that today. What cloud is going to do for us, and our ability to really deliver, software at the speed of relevance, as we always say, and really ultimately, in a secure and a resilient manner, is, that is what is going to enable the JADC2 piece. So cloud is an enabler, and then cloud also enables the different pieces that is going to make our ability to do this joint warfighting across the board, across the department, interoperability, our ability to collaborate, not just internal to DoD, but with our mission partners, allies, and coalition partners. So these are the things that we're pressing. And, when I say the tactical edge, it's not just to have a tactical edge cloud. It is really to enable ultimately our ability, working through policies and cybersecurity checks and everything, to make sure that we're able to collaborate and work with our coalition partners seamlessly, as much as we want to do the same thing across the department. It also enables us to do capabilities, automate capabilities and scale capabilities in a way that we've never done before. So, ultimately, really, it raises the bar for the things that we already do, but in a way that we've never done it, in the scale and speed that we've never done it before.
Yeah. And I really like the term you use, cloud as an enabler, because that kind of fits in with the final question I had, which was about zero trust and kind of DoD's process towards implementing this model to enhance security across the department. Can you discuss, in terms of when it comes to DoD's cloud environment, how you're working to kind of prioritize security kind of as part of the zero trust approach moving forward? And I know DoD is kind of still in the process of doing this, so just curious to know some of the work going on in the cloud environment side of this.
Yeah. And really, the Zero Trust Portfolio Management Office, which is in the CISO's office, the deputy CIO for cybersecurity, really they are aggressively working with all of us, because we all, again, cloud is a piece of it, software is a piece of it, DevSecOps is a piece of it. So we're all contributing to that, but we're driving very, very hard to make sure that we meet the timelines that we've set for ourselves. I think we've set aggressive timelines, but like I said, the challenge that we face and the need is for today. So we have to, run as fast as we can, of course, cautiously making sure that we do our due diligence. So with Zero Trust, again, the pieces that I just described, cloud is the Zero Trust backbone, if you will, because to enable Zero Trust, to enable, security from getting away from the perimeter security to really actually to all the way to the application level protection, and really the identity and data driven cybersecurity requires us to have the ability to scale and the ability to automate and the ability to telemetry in such automated fashion. And really, that's what cloud helps us do. In addition, I think we've done really well with being able to sort of assess and approve operation of cybersecurity in various FedRAMP and RMF, different ways, different processes that we have. But like I said, with the adversary and the exploitation that is occurring at the speed it is, we really need to speed up our ability to continuously monitor the environment end to end, and the ability to authorize based on a continuous monitoring approach, which is the continuous ATO that you've heard about, and we've released our initial strategy, which we're implementing at currently, or at least trying to set the framework for implementation. So when we talk Zero Trust, it's not a thing. It is really an approach, and as you know, with pillars that need to be met, and cloud really is the backbone that's going to enable us to do the things we've set out in the Zero Trust strategy at the scale and speed that we really need to make sure that it's done. It affords us the ability to automate. It affords us the ability to have site picture at all times with telemetry and sensing across the board, and really even the ability to do the data tagging and the data pieces. We really require that the cloud backbone. So that is really how cloud plays into the Zero Trust picture, but also, as I said, baking in that security into the development of software. It cuts out so much timeline for our ability to deliver the software that the warfighter needs in a secure manner. So really, cloud has various parts and pieces that it's going to play in a way that it brings together this Zero Trust picture that we're looking at. The other piece is we're also looking at really the same cloud service providers, the hyperscales, to really look at what the commercial sector offers from a cybersecurity lineup of things that they already do and offer. So we are able to accelerate our ability to deliver Zero Trust as quickly as possible. So there's also that piece of it, really to work with the CSPs to see how we can leverage existing commercial capabilities to get us going on the Zero Trust front. but there's so much going on, and this is a pivotal time and an exciting time. And really, I'm just elated that we've been able to deliver so much in just this year alone, and showing progress. And that's really the message I want folks to take away today, is really we're out of that talking mode and we're in a doing mode. And really, we need to continue to be doers and deliver capability to the warfighter at speed.
Definitely. Yeah, it sounds like you have made a ton of progress. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Ms. Dalecki. And, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on things moving forward. It sounds like DoD is making a lot of progress and will continue to be advancing when it comes to using the cloud environment. And it's going to be interesting to, see how things progress. But thank you so much again for taking the time to join us today. And thank you as well to our audience for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's discussion or like to share today's conversation with any of your colleagues, the video will very shortly be made available on demand. So keep an eye out for that. And for Next of FCW, I'm Edward Graham. Thanks for joining.